Commander Q's boots echoed on the metal deck as he moved through the cramped corridors of the Veil's edge. Emergency lighting cast an orange glow across worried faces as crew members hunched over sparking control panels. The hum of distant machinery had grown weaker with each passing hour. "Report, Lieutenant Boram," Q called to his tactical officer, who looked up from a flickering display. "The energy cores are completely dark, Commander. Whatever hit us during that last jump burned them out completely." Boram's hands moved frantically across holographic controls. "We're running on backup power from the solar collectors, but they're barely holding." Q nodded grimly. The Veltar exploration fleet had been 3 months into their deep space survey mission when they encountered the phenomenon. A wall of distorted space had appeared suddenly during their hyperspace jump, forcing an emergency exit. Now they found themselves in a sector that showed up blank on all their star charts. Through the bridge viewports, space looked different here. Stars seemed dimmer, scattered in unnatural patterns. The cosmic background radiation levels were all wrong. It was as if they had jumped into a cosmic graveyard. Chief Engineer Hyojin emerged from an access panel, her uniform smudged with coolant fluid. "Commander, I need to speak with you, privately." They moved to a quieter section of the bridge. Hyojin lowered her voice. "The damage is worse than we thought. It's not just the cores. Something scrambled our quantum navigation systems too. I've never seen anything like it." Before Q could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. Navigation Officer Dal Su spun in his chair, face pale. "Commander, we have movement all around us." The main screen flickered to life, showing dozens of metallic structures emerging from the darkness. They had been there all along, hidden until now. Each one was massive, easily the size of a small moon, and covered in geometric patterns that hurt to look at directly. "What are those things?" whispered Science Officer Yujin. The structures began to glow with a cold blue light. Energy patterns danced across their surfaces like electric spiders. Slowly, deliberately, they were coming to life. "Ancient defense. Grid detected," announced the ship's AI in its flat synthetic voice. "Technology origin unknown. Age estimated 50,000 standard years minimum." Q felt his stomach drop. Defense grid. That meant this sector wasn't just dead, it was protected by something that had been waiting in the dark for longer than recorded history. More alarms sounded as the tactical board lit up with threat indicators. The ancient structures were scanning them now, invisible beams probing their ships like curious fingers. Red warning symbols appeared on the display as automated weapons systems targeted their fleet. "Shields up," Q ordered. Though he knew their backup power wouldn't support full defensive screens for long. Engineering reported from all ships in the fleet. 5 vessels total, all with similar damage. The Explorer Distant Wind had lost artificial gravity. The survey ship, Starseeker, was venting atmosphere from multiple hull breaches. They were sitting ducks. Young communications technician Solmi spoke up nervously. "Commander, I'm getting interference on all frequencies. These things, they're jamming us. No messages can get through to home." The reality of their situation began to sink in. They were stranded in unknown space, surrounded by hostile ancient technology. Unable to call for help and running out of power, Q watched his crew, scientists, explorers, young officers on their first deep space mission, and saw fear creeping into their eyes. "How long?" he asked Hyojin simply. 3 days, maybe 4 if we shut down non-essential systems." "But Commander," she hesitated, "even if we had full power, these things could swat us like insects. The energy readings I'm getting suggest technology far beyond anything in our databases." A low vibration ran through the ship as something attached itself to their hull. On the external cameras, they could see metallic tentacles probing their ship's surface. The things looked like mechanical parasites, testing their defenses. "They're learning about us," Eugene observed with scientific fascination, despite the danger. "Analyzing our technology, our weaknesses." More of the Guardian structures activated, filling space with an eerie blue glow. Some began moving with deliberate grace that suggested intelligence. Others remained still, but radiated menace like sleeping predators. Captain Wolsik of the Distant Wind contacted them. "Commander Q, we're detecting power buildups in the nearest structures. I think they're preparing to... His transmission cut off as a beam of energy lanced out, striking dangerously close to his ship. The message was clear. Move and die. Q surveyed his bridge crew. These were good people, brave explorers who had volunteered for the dangers of deep space. They deserved better than dying forgotten in this cosmic tomb. But surrounded by such overwhelming ancient power, hope seemed impossible. The mechanical. Guardians continued their slow dance around the trapped fleet, patient as death itself. After waiting 50,000 years, they could wait a little longer before claiming their next victims. The Dawn Runner sliced through space at maximum warp, its sleek hull reflecting distant starlight. Captain Jin Song gripped her command chair as the ship trembled under the strain of their desperate sprint toward the unknown signal. This was humanity's newest exploration vessel, packed with volunteers eager to push the boundaries of known space. Signal strength increasing, Communications Officer So Young called out, her fingers dancing across the console. Whatever's broadcasting. This, Captain, it's using technology I've never seen before. The frequency patterns are completely alien. Minho, their best sensor operator, frowned at his displays. Multiple contacts confirmed. 5 ships, maybe 6, all showing significant battle damage. But Captain... He looked up with wide eyes. These aren't human ships. The bridge fell silent. After 3 centuries of space exploration, humanity had found planets, resources, even ancient ruins. But never living aliens. Until now, Chief Engineer Tae-hyun's voice crackled through the comm. Captain, pushing the engines this hard isn't smart. We're overtaxing the quantum drive. How long can we maintain this speed? Jin asked. 15 minutes. Before we risk a burnout. Maybe 20 if we pray to every deity in the cosmic catalogue. Jin made her choice. Throughout human history, ships had answered distress calls. It was an unwritten law of space travel. You helped those in need because someday you might need help too, even if those in trouble happen to be from another species entirely. Maintain speed. We answer distress calls, period. The Dawn Runner dropped out of warp in a flash of twisted space. What greeted them was unlike anything in their training manuals. Massive geometric structures surrounded 5 damaged vessels, their alien designs beautiful yet terrifying. The structures glowed with menacing energy, like sleeping giants guarding treasures. Sweet mother of stars, whispered Navigator Eugene. Those things are huge. The alien ships were clearly in trouble. One was missing entire sections, atmosphere venting into space. Another spun slowly, its propulsion systems dead. The third leaked fluids that crystallized instantly in the vacuum. But it was the Guardians that made everyone hold their breath. Ancient sentinels covered in patterns that hurt to look at, each one bigger than the human ship. Energy arced between them like cosmic lightning, creating a web of power around the trapped vessels. Red alert, Jin commanded. Shields up. Weapons. On standby, but do not target anything unless we're fired upon. So Young, see if you can make contact with those ships. So Young worked furiously at her station. Their communication systems use quantum entanglement patterns I've never encountered. Give me a moment to decode this. Tactical Officer Chan Wu studied his readings nervously. Captain, those big structures are scanning us. I'm reading massive power buildups. On the main screen, one of the ancient Guardians turned toward them. Its surface rippled like liquid metal, reshaping itself into what looked disturbingly like a weapon. So Young, any luck with comms? Jin asked urgently. Almost there, Captain. Their language is mathematical. Lots of equations and frequency modulations. I think, yes, I'm getting through. The first alien voice humanity ever heard was desperate, speaking in words that somehow the universal translator managed to pass. Unknown vessel, leave this place. The Guardians will destroy you as they will destroy us. Jin stepped forward. Alien vessel, this is Captain Jin of the human ship Dawn Runner. We're here to help. Repeat, we are here to offer assistance. Silence stretched across space like a held breath. Then a different voice came through, older and more measured. You would risk yourselves for strangers, for beings you do not know. That's what we do, Jin replied simply. We'll figure out the rest later. The human ship moved closer despite the danger. Chief Medical Officer Seo-jun started preparing emergency supplies. Whatever they are, they're hurt. I'm ready to provide aid. One of the ancient structures suddenly blazed with light, energy gathering at what was clearly a weapon system. It was targeting the human ship. Evasive maneuvers, Jin shouted. Pilot Hyojin threw the ship into a spiraling dive. The energy beam missed by meters, so close that particles of vaporized hull metal sparkled in its wake. The Dawn Runner rolled and weaved between the Guardian structures like a dragonfly avoiding giant spiders. They're protecting the aliens, but they're hostile to us, Chan-woo reported. Whatever's keeping those ships alive isn't working for us. So Young suddenly brightened. Captain, I think I know what's happening. The aliens' ships are somehow synchronized with these Guardians. They're in a standoff. The Guardians won't kill them, but won't let them leave either. Another Guardian oriented toward them, beginning to charge its weapons. But this time, something unexpected happened. The alien ship closest to them moved, between the humans and the ancient weapon, using its own damaged bulk as a shield. The alien commander's voice came through clearly now. Human vessel, why do you stay? You could leave. You should leave. Because, Jin said, her voice carrying, across space to beings she'd never seen but already respected. No one gets left behind, not on our watch. And in that moment, as her words reached the trapped alien fleet, the first bond between human and alien civilizations was forged, born not from treaties or technology, but from something simple and universal, the willingness to help others, even at great personal risk. The Dawn Runner continued its dangerous dance among the ancient Guardians, searching for a way to save their new alien friends. Chief Engineer Ji-won crawled through the access tunnel between the human and alien ships, a hastily rigged communication cable trailing behind her. The Veltar crew had agreed to let humans aboard their vessel, a sign of incredible trust given the circumstances. The airlock seals hissed as she entered their ship. The alien engineering section looked like something from a fever dream. Crystalline, panels hummed with energy, while holographic displays showed mathematical equations that danced in the air. The Veltar engineer, a being with 4 arms and skin that shifted colors like oil on water, gestured for her to approach. Show me power. Distribution, Ji-won said slowly, pointing to her own ship's diagnostic tablet. The alien nodded, its large eyes blinking in sequence. Working through gestures and basic mathematics, Ji-won began to understand their predicament. The ancient Guardians weren't just random killers, they were incredibly sophisticated. Each one was scanning the trapped ships constantly, looking for specific energy signatures. Captain Jin, I've got something, Ji-won called through her comm. These Guardians are like cosmic tuning forks. They're listening for specific frequencies. The alien ships naturally produce harmonics that match some kind of safe pattern. That's why they're alive. Back on the Dawn Runner, Science Officer Hyun-woo pored over the data Ji-won sent. The numbers were fascinating and terrifying. The Guardians have a catalogue of approved frequencies, he explained to the bridge crew. Anything else gets vaporized. But here's the interesting part. The pattern isn't fixed. It changes every few minutes. Navigator Su-jin worked closely with her Veltar counterpart, a being whose tentacle-like appendages could operate 12 different controls simultaneously. Together they mapped the movements of the awakening Guardians, noting patterns that repeated like a cosmic dance. There, Su-jin pointed at her screen. See how they pulse in sequence? It's not random. It's synchronized, like they're all following the same conductor. Young pilot Hyojin watched the Guardian movements with the eye of someone who lived to fly. It's beautiful in a terrifying way. They move like a flock of metal birds, but each one weighs as much as a moon. The breakthrough came when Ensign Min-jae, fresh from the academy, made an observation that the experienced crew had missed. Captain, what if we don't try to match their frequency exactly? What if we create interference patterns instead? Everyone turned to stare at the young officer. He continued nervously. I was studying quantum acoustics before I joined the fleet. These Guardians are like musical instruments. But instead of trying to play their song, what if we create harmony? Hyun-woo's eyes lit up. Destructive interference. Yes, if we can create frequencies that combine with theirs to form a different pattern. Ji-won, still on the alien ship, worked frantically with her new Veltar friends. The engineering challenge was immense. The alien technology was based on biological quantum processes, while human tech relied on crystalline matrices. Connecting them was like trying to make a violin and a synthesizer play the same song. "We need to synchronize our power cores with theirs," G1 reported. "But Captain, it's risky. If we get the frequency wrong, those Guardians will turn us all into space dust." Communication specialist So Young had another idea. What if we use our differences as an advantage? The Veltar ships sing in their natural frequency. Our ships could provide a counterpoint. Together we create something new. The alien commander, translating through their improving communication link, sent a message that surprised everyone. Humans approach problems differently. This could work. Working through the night, both crews pushed their limits. Human engineers crawled through Veltar ships, while alien technicians floated through human corridors, learning each other's systems through determination and countless mistakes. Chief Medical Officer Seo Jun treated injuries from both species as crew members worked with dangerous experimental equipment. "Cut here, burn there," she muttered, treating a Veltar who had been electrocuted by a human power coupling. The plan that emerged was beautifully insane. The human ships would modify their engines to produce complementary frequencies. The Veltar vessels would adjust their bioquantum systems to create baseline harmonics. Together, they would sing a new song to the ancient Guardians, one that had never existed before, but might just be acceptable. "It's like creating a musical password," Minjae explained to the worried bridge crew. "Except if we hit a wrong note, we die." Tactical Officer Chan Wu monitored the Guardians closely. "They're becoming more active. I think they're losing patience with us." Time was running out. G1 made final adjustments on both ships, sweat beading on her forehead. The Veltar engineer beside her was literally glowing with stress, its color-changing skin cycling through rapid patterns. "Ready," G1 announced, her voice tight with tension. Captain Jin took a deep breath. This was the moment. Either their crazy plan would work, or both species would die together in the cosmic graveyard. "All ships on my mark. Let's show these ancient ghosts what human-alien cooperation sounds like." The combined fleet prepared to sing for their lives. The combined fleet waited as the last Guardian scan completed. Captain Jin felt the tension on her bridge as everyone held their breath. This was it. Their carefully synchronized frequencies would either fool the ancient defense system or get them all killed. "Initiating harmonic sequence," announced G1 from engineering. "All ships match our resonance pattern." The human and alien vessels began to hum in unison, their engines producing frequencies that blended together like a cosmic choir. The nearest Guardian paused, its sensors analyzing this new sound it had never heard before. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the Guardian's surface rippled with approval, its threatening glow dimming to a softer blue. The plan was working. "Execute! Execute! Execute!" Jin commanded. The Dawn Runner surged forward, leading the human ships into the deadly gauntlet. Behind them, the Veltar vessels followed, their exotic hulls gleaming in the strange light of the ancient defense grid. The first Guardian they passed seemed almost curious, scanning them with beams of soft energy. But as they moved deeper into the maze, other Guardians weren't so easily fooled. Warning lights flashed as an ancient sentinel detected something wrong with their harmonics. "Incoming!" shouted Tactical Officer Chan Wu. A beam of destruction lanced past the Dawn Runner, so close that the hull plating buckled from the heat. The ship shuddered, but held together. "Fighter squadrons, form up," Jin ordered. "Protect the damaged ships." Young pilot Chan Ho's fighter screamed past the bridge viewports, leading a formation of 6 small craft. At barely 23, he was the youngest pilot in the fleet, but his reflexes were incredible. "Target the distant wind." Guardian 7 is charging weapons. The alien ship Distant Wind limped through space, its engines flickering. A massive Guardian was swinging toward it like a predator sensing wounded prey. "I've got them," Chan Ho called out, his fighter diving between the Guardian and the alien vessel. His small craft couldn't match the ancient weapon's power, but he could confuse its targeting systems. The Guardian's beam fired. Instead of hitting the alien ship, it grazed Chan-Ho's fighter. Sparks erupted from his control panel as systems failed, but he held position. "Chan-Ho, get out of there," Jin ordered. "Negative. Captain, hull integrity at 30%, but I can still fly. The distant wind needs cover." Two more Guardians began moving, their weapons charging. This was becoming a running battle through an ancient maze of death. Pilot Hyo-Jin through the dawn, Runner into a spiraling evasive maneuver as another energy beam scorched past. "They're learning our pattern, Captain. The harmony thing is working, but not for long." Engineer Ji-won's voice crackled through the comm. "I'm adjusting the frequency constantly, but these Guardians are smart. They're starting to adapt." Vine, Alien Commander Q transmitted from his flagship. "Human vessels, you should abandon us. Save yourselves." "Not happening," Jin replied firmly. "We're in this together." The gauntlet run turned chaotic as more Guardians joined the hunt. The human ships wheeled and dove, using their smaller size and maneuverability to stay ahead of the ancient weapons. Laser fire lit up space like a deadly light show. Ensign Min-jae's scanner ship took a direct hit. "We're losing hull integrity. Engines at 50%. "Stay with the formation," Jin ordered. "Help is coming." Navigator Su-Jin worked with her alien counterpart to find gaps in the Guardian formation. "There, opening at Mark 47. Window. Hair's closing fast." The fleet surged through the gap just as two Guardians moved to block it. They were flying through a cosmic chess game where the pieces could kill them instantly. Chan-Ho's fighter suddenly veered wildly. "Losing control, systems are fried." He was heading straight for a Guardian's weapon array. At the last second, the alien ship Star Seeker extended its shields, creating a protective bubble around the human fighter. "Got you, small one," came the alien pilot's voice. Debt repaid, but their heroics came at a cost. The alien ship's shields collapsed, leaving it vulnerable. A Guardian immediately targeted it. "No," Jin commanded. "All ships converge on Guardian 12. The Dawn Runner and two other human vessels opened fire simultaneously. Their combined beams struck the Guardian just as it fired. The ancient weapon's shot went wide, missing the alien ship by meters. "Almost clear," Su-Jin announced. "Edge of the grid 2,000 kilometers." But the final Guardian wasn't giving up. Massive and more advanced than the others, it moved to block their escape route. This one didn't care about frequencies or harmonics. It wanted everything dead. "Emergency power to shields," Jin ordered, as the Super Guardian charged its ultimate weapon. The blast that followed lit up space like a newborn star. The combined fleet took the hit together, human and alien vessels sharing the damage. Hull plating vaporized, systems failed, but they all held together. When the light faded, they were through. The ancient defense grid was behind them, its Guardians returning to their eternal watch. "We did it," whispered someone on the bridge. "We actually did it." Space around them was clear and safe. Both fleets were damaged, but alive. As they regrouped, the magnitude of what they'd accomplished began to sink in. Human and alien had worked together, trusted each other, and survived the impossible. First contact had been written in laser fire and determination, creating a bond that would last forever. The combined fleet drifted in the safe region beyond the ancient defense grid, taking stock of their damage. The Dawn Runner showed scorch marks along her hull, while several human fighters were barely holding together. The alien vessels looked even worse, but they were alive. All of them. Captain Jin walked through her ship's corridors, watching. Repair crews work alongside Veltar technicians. The aliens had adapted quickly to human ship design, while her own engineers marveled at the self-repairing biomaterials of the Veltar vessels. "Captain," called Chief Medical Officer Seo-jun, "you need to see this." In the medical bay, humans and aliens worked side by side, sharing medical techniques. A young Veltar medic demonstrated how their biogel could seal hull breaches, while Seo-jun showed them human surgical techniques that amazed them with their precision. "Their circulatory system is completely different from ours," Seo-jun explained, excitedly. "But the basic principles of emergency medicine are universal. Pain is pain, regardless of species." On the bridge, Communication Officer So-young was having the conversation of her life. The translation protocols had finally stabilized. allowing real-time communication between species. Her screens showed complex alien scripts transforming into readable text. "Admiral Q wants to speak with you, Captain," So Young reported. "And he's broadcast news of our rescue to the entire Veltar fleet." The main screen activated, showing Admiral Q on his flagship bridge. The alien commander stood tall. His forearms spread in what the humans had learned was a gesture of highest respect. Behind him, his crew had assembled in formal rows. "Captain Jin of Earth," Q began, his translated words carrying deep emotion. "You came to the aid of strangers without asking for anything in return. In our culture, such honor is sacred. The Veltar Empire formally offers an alliance with humanity." Jin nodded respectfully. "The honor was ours, Admiral. We simply did what any decent beings would do." "No," Q replied firmly. "Many species in our galaxy would have left us to die. We have met some of them. But you risked everything for people you didn't know. This act will be remembered for millennia." The alien admiral gestured, and several of his officers stepped forward. "I am sending Ambassador Telwyn and her team to accompany you to Earth. They will speak for humanity to our Emperor. In return, I ask that you allow some of your people to come with us." Captain Jin looked at her crew. Engineer G1 stepped forward eagerly. "Captain, I request permission to join their expedition. Their technology. We could learn so much from each other." Pilot Chan Ho, now recovered from his fighter crash, also volunteered. "Count me in. I want to see their worlds." Soon, a dozen humans had volunteered for the exchange program. The alien crew showed similar enthusiasm, with young Veltar officers eager to learn about human culture and technology. Science Officer Hyun Woo presented his preliminary findings. "Captain, their approach to physics is completely different from ours. They work with biological systems, where we use mechanical ones. Combined, we could advance both our civilizations by centuries." The next few days were a whirlwind of activity. Data was exchanged, star charts compared, and first cultural exchanges began. The humans learned that the Veltar Empire spanned dozens of worlds, each with its own unique adaptations to local conditions. The aliens were fascinated by humanity's diverse planet and the rapid technological progress they'd made in just a few centuries. Ambassador Telwyn, a graceful being with skin that shimmered like starlight, spent hours with Captain Jin discussing everything from trade routes to art forms. "Your species," she observed, "seems to thrive on challenge. When faced with impossible odds, you become more creative, not less." Young Veltar navigator Zextha worked with Su Jin to establish permanent communication protocols between their civilizations. "Our peoples are different in body, but similar in spirit," Zextha noted. Both explorers, both curious about the universe. The exchange wasn't just technical. The alien crew taught humans about their music, which was based on harmonic frequencies that resonated through different atmospheric pressures. The humans shared their own art forms, including holographic entertainment that amazed the Veltar. When it came time to part ways, the farewells were emotional. Humans and aliens who had been strangers a week ago now hugged goodbye like old friends. Several mixed crews had already formed, with volunteers from both species choosing to stay together. "Remember," Admiral Q said during the final transmission, "this began because you chose to help. Simple kindness changed everything." As the ships separated, the human vessels heading toward Earth and the Veltar fleet toward their empire both carried more than just physical cargo. They carried hope, friendship, and the promise of a larger universe full of allies. Captain Jin stood on her bridge, watching the alien ships disappear into hyperspace. Chief Engineer G1 waved from the alien flagship until it vanished from sight. "So what now, Captain?" asked So Young. Jin smiled, thinking of the report she would have to write, the diplomatic meetings ahead, and the incredible future opening before humanity. "Now we go home and tell everyone that we're not alone anymore. The galaxy just got a lot friendlier." The Dawn Runner engaged its hyperspace drive, carrying humanity's first alien allies toward Earth. Behind them, in the cosmic graveyard of ancient guardians, nothing stirred. The death trap that had claimed countless species had finally met something it couldn't destroy. Compassion. The end.